Hey, what's going on? Patrick here in this little bubble down here. So today we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to do a quick lesson on color. Okay, this is just one quick sort of tidbit of something that goes into a deeper process, which we call color analysis, which is something that I do when I work with clients, right, to actually identify what colors work with them really well. Okay, so this is just a little. Again, just a little tidbit that can help you out in terms of choosing what colors to wear. And so this lesson in particular is around value, which is the depth of a color, right? The darkness or lightness of a color. Okay. And so this is really helpful when you're choosing anything, because then you'll understand what type of color to go for. Okay, so if you're saying, hey, I have all these options in a store. Okay, I'm looking at buying a t-shirt. I need a blue t-shirt, I need a pink t-shirt, a green t-shirt, whatever it is. You'll understand which type to go for, right? Which type of color. Okay, well, specifically, what value of color. All right, so it's really cool and it's very helpful, and it's one of those things that you can actually easily grasp too. So it makes a great introductory lesson into the world of color analysis. And again, for me, this is just, I make these videos to help out, because this is really, to be honest, very sort of elementary stuff, right? And so, when I work with a client, we're trying to take things a bit deeper and really personalize it, right? But this is more than you're going to get at most places, even just with this one lesson too. So definitely use it. All right, so let me get in here, and we're going to full screen this bad boy. You know what? We're not going to do that, because I think I can't even tell if I'm still around here. All right, here, hold on. That's good enough, isn't it? All right, so there we go. Cool. Looks good to me. All right, so screw it. Let's see. All right, so let's do this. Let's start with the definition of value. Okay, so value, like we talked about, is the darkness or the lightness of something. All right, so you can make a color darker when you actually add black to it, and you can make a color lighter if you add white to it. Okay, so these are known as shades. And so all colors will have a lighter version of them and a darker version of them, right? So if you think about, like I'm using the example with green here, okay? But let's think about green for just a second. Right here in front of us, we have a light green, we have a medium green, and we have a darker green, okay? These are all green, okay, but they're different types of green, okay? They're different values of green. So you can kind of think about this on a sliding scale. We can go darker by adding black to something. We can go lighter by adding white to something, right? And there's the true stuff that's in between, okay? And so what we're trying to figure out with value, first understand that like there are different types of colors. So it's never a good practice to say, oh, I don't look good in green, or I don't look good in blue, or I don't look good in whatever, okay? Because there are different values of these colors. There's also different chromas of these colors, which we can talk about in a different lesson, right? But right now, focusing on value, it's reductive to say, hey, I don't look good in X color, because there's so many different characteristics that can go into that. So value, lightness, or darkness. So understand that, right? Now, what we're trying to do specifically is figure out which value of color you look good in. And it doesn't matter what the color is, okay? It could be pink, it could be blue, it could be green. We're trying to say, okay, which version of it do you look best in? Again, regardless of the color, do you look better in lighter colors, somewhere in the middle, or darker versions of colors? Okay, that's really what we're looking at when we're looking at value specifically. Okay, so coming down here, we are looking specifically at your characteristics, okay? This will determine what value of color looks best on you, okay? So rather than looking at skin tone, which you look at in other aspects of color analysis, right now we are looking at the depth of the things that sit on top of your skin. Okay, mainly hair color. That's the way that people used to do it. It's just looking at your hair color, and that would help to determine your value. Okay, so let's just kind of, again, take a really baseline elementary stance, and we're just going to think about hair color. Well, okay, if you're looking at hair color, we have lighter versions of hair color, medium versions of hair color, and darker versions of hair color, right? And we could also throw, eyebrows into the mix, facial hair into the mix, because that is all sort of hair. These are the things that sit on top of the skin, okay? So we don't want to think about skin right now, okay? So think about everything but the skin, everything else, everything that sits on top of the skin. These are what we call, or what I like to call, the characteristics of the face, okay? So sort of the differentiation factors, right? The things that sit on top, the things that kind of pop to the forefront, all right? And so here, I'm going to use this example with women here, but these are lighter characteristic women, right? And these are darker characteristic women. You can see this here just through hair color too. But we even take this a step further a lot of the time. Eye color gets a little tricky, but like even that, right? The eyebrow color, the hair color, obviously. And if these were men, they would have facial hair, right? So you could think about that too as well. And so that's what you're looking at there. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to mirror our value specifically. Okay, so this everything within color, okay, when you're choosing the right colors for yourself, you want to choose colors that mirror and complement the stuff that's on your face, okay? So like you want to say, hey, if I am a lighter person, okay, if I have lighter characteristics, I want to go for lighter versions of colors, okay? So like going back up to our green example here, if you are lighter colored, you're typically going to look better in lighter colors. If you are darker colored in terms of characteristics, again, do not think about skin tone yet, okay? This is not what we're after, right? Completely get that out of your head. You're only thinking about the characteristics that are sitting on your face, okay? So if you have lighter characteristics, you go for lighter colors. If you have darker characteristics, you generally go for darker colors, okay? And again, if you're somewhere in between, like me, you go somewhere in between. This is just showing you those two differentiations. And so you can kind of use this as a sliding scale. So down here we have the lighter end of people, medium people, right, and darker people, and you literally just choose color kind of on a sliding scale. So one thing that I actually teach stylists is actually that you can find a guy's perfect jacket color if you're looking for a suit, so guys that work in suiting, by just looking at his hair color, right? And you can say, hey, I'm just going to take that value and I'm going to put it down into the jacket. And it becomes very, very simple. So let's do a couple exercises here, right? So first, we have this guy here. Now, if you look at his characteristics, okay, not skin tone again, if we look at his characteristics, hair color, eyebrow color, and again, eye color to a certain extent here, you're going to see that they lean a little bit darker. Okay, so you take that value and you say, okay, well, I want to complement this. I want to bring this out. So therefore, I'm going to wear darker colors. Anytime that you wear a color below the face, we're going to get to this in just a sec, but anytime that you wear a color below the face, it's going to bring out the colors on the face. Okay, you can kind of think about this like a painting. What you put as a frame will affect the way that we visually see the painting. Okay, so if you have, let's say, a painting that has a lot of green in it and you put a green frame around it, you're going to see more of that green. Okay, so the frame sort of affects what we see through the picture. So you can kind of think about the clothing as the frame and the face as the picture. And we are trying to use the frame to complement the colors, not to detract from them. Okay, we're bringing out the natural coloring. We're bringing out the stuff that we want to see, and we're toning down anything that we don't want to see. Okay, so like you don't want to obviously look like pale and pasty and all that kind of stuff. We want to see your natural coloring. So what you do is you take that coloring, you basically mirror it down here. Okay, you're complementing and mirroring those colors. And so for a guy like this, what do we want to do? Do we want to do lighter colors or darker colors? Take a second, you should say darker, okay? Because he has darker characteristics. And when he wears that value, it will bring those out. The eyebrows, the hair, the eyes, right, will sort of pop to the forefront. They will be more in focus, okay? So he would go for versions down here. And again, we're just using this scale. We're talking about color specifically, right? So it'd probably be actually better to use this thing. But he would probably look better in that green, okay? So, makes sense? Come to this guy. Okay, so we have a little bit of a lighter guy now, all right? Because you can see here, the skin tone is kind of the same. I mean, this guy's definitely maybe got a little tan, right? But the skin tone is kind of the same, all right? But the characteristics are different. So now we look at his hair, his eyebrows, his facial hair, right? And again, eye color to extend here too. You're going to say, okay, well, he has lighter characteristics. And so in order to bring those out, in order to sharpen those features and kind of pop them against the skin so it doesn't just look like everything blending together, we want to mirror the exact depth, or at least as close as we can, to the colors that are on his face already. We mirror that, right? So he would look better in those kind of lighter versions of colors that we looked at here, right? So if we were on a sliding scale, we would kind of place him here. He's a little bit lighter, right? Now, even what I'm wearing today is kind of a decent version of this, right? So you look here, it's kind of like a medium blue, right? A medium kind of, maybe even slightly darker, which is what I am, right? I have some, medium brown is kind of where I place my hair color. There's some blonde in there. There's some darker brown, right? I have kind of blue-green eyes. And that's where my value sits. And so I'm wearing something that reflects that, okay? So if you go against this, right, what happens is you'll look kind of washed out. So imagine we have this guy here, okay, and we say, all right, well, nah, I'm gonna wear light colors. I'm gonna wear something Or something like this, right? I'm gonna slide down and I'm gonna wear stuff like this, right? Because I don't like listening to Patrick, right? It's like, okay, all right, fine. Well, he wears those colors. Now, before we already talked about this, right? But the frame is the thing that helps us see the picture, okay? And so colors aren't trying to do anything bad to you, right? It's you. It's only going to bring out things that are already on you. So like, let's say he wears a lighter color, right? Like, let's say he wears stuff down here. Well, now that we know, all right, that they only bring out what's on the face, right? Colors only bring out what's on the face. So again, we can kind of think about a frame. If we frame this with lighter colors, what's that going to bring out? Because it's not going to bring out this, right? Because it can't. It's not mirroring that, right? So it's not going to bring those out. What's the lightest thing on the face here? Skin. So what happens is that now the skin tone pops to the forefront, okay? That's the thing that we see. That's what we're mirroring. That's what we're complementing. That's what we're pushing forward with colors down here, right? And so when that happens, what happens to him? He looks washed out. He looks pale. He looks pasty, right? Here, okay, with our lighter guy, here's the thing with this. It's kind of the opposite with him. Because if he wears darker colors, then there's no differentiation there at all, because we can't see the difference between hair color and skin color much. So like if he was to wear something like a very, very, very deep dark green, right, we would kind of just, it would look like sort of a glowing white orb, right? So we wouldn't be able to see any differentiation at all. The goal here is to, again, to grab these guys, to sort of like, it's like you're catching the stuff, the characteristics, and you're framing the face appropriately. That's like you're turning up the contrast on a photo, right? So we, literally, this is all of what color analysis kind of is, right? And people just overcomplicate this to the nth degree. And I used to as well, like 10 years ago, it was just like the most confusing process to me, right? But as I've gone through the years, and especially now that I teach it to stylists and stuff like that too, at like, subscription box companies and things like that, you have to make it very digestible. And so there are simple principles that like the easiest way that I can frame it is like saying, hey, look, take the colors that are here, right? And let's make those things good. Let's make those things stand out, right? And then, whatever that is, right? We're just going to take the colors here and we're going to put them and complement them down here. That's it. As simple as it gets, right? And if you understand that concept, you will understand everything you need to know about wearing the right colors. Here's an example with our guy John Hamm from Mad Men, right? So with this, if you look here, he's got a white shirt, sure, but he's wearing a depth level that is very appropriate, right? When this deeper kind of navy color here. There's other reasons too, like the contrast mirrors his contrast, but again, we'll save that for 102, right? But in 101 right now, understand that part of the reason that he looks good here is because we're actually kind of mirroring and we're popping those characteristics to the forefront, okay? And then here over on this side, it's all light, right? There's nothing there to catch those characteristics. So he looks sort of washed out, right? He looks a little pale, whereas over here he looks a little sharper visually, right? And so that's, again, just one sort of one little aspect of the color analysis process here is just saying, okay, how do I take the characteristics here and put them down here? Color, right? And so value is just one of those things. So it's super cool. So here's this in a nutshell, okay? So here's your bumper sticker. Mirror your depth. Take your depth from the characteristics, okay? Not skin tone, the things that sit on top of the skin, okay? The things that we're trying to sharpen to frame the face, okay? Remember that any color that you place near the face will just pull out those certain colors on the face. So if if you are darker, you're going to wear those darker kind of versions of colors to pull that out, right? If you're lighter, same thing. If you're somewhere in the middle, same thing. You're using the correct depth, okay? By simply mirroring the characteristics that sit on your face, you will look your best, okay? So take that, go forth, throw out anything that you need to. And you know what? I'll give you one quick caveat too, because this is where, I get some kids that, they'll push back and they'll be like, hey man, no, because I got a tan the other day and someone told me I look really good, in those pastel colors, man. So color theory be damned, right? And it's, I know this is just science, but screw it. The reason that works, okay, is because of the fact that it contrasts your tan very heavily. Okay, so if you think about it like the tanner that you are, if you wear white, you are then going to look tanner. So it kind of gives you a glow. Now, what we are specifically focused on is your face and making that look good, because that coloring doesn't change, right? Or very slight variations, maybe, right? But it doesn't change, like your hair color, your eye color, those kind of things, right? They're pretty steady. And so that is the coloring that you're after. not just your, arm looking more tan. So if you want to look more tan, for sure, right? But that shouldn't always be the goal. And again, that fades, right? Skin tone can, or that depth can kind of change based on those metrics. What we're looking for is sort of hard data on like, okay, what colors should I be wearing? What depth should I be wearing overall? And you can make slight adjustments to that. Like if you wanted to show off a little bit more of a tan, like maybe you move a little bit more into light colors, but not super light, right? So this is think about that as like secondary stuff. Secondary stuff is also like if you wanted to make yourself look slimmer, you wear dark colors, right? That's secondary. But your natural coloring comes first. So you play with that first, and then you say, okay, well, what secondary characteristics do I want to work in? Do I want to look taller? Do I want to look thinner? Do I want to look more trustworthy? Whatever. And then you can sprinkle some of those colors into as well. But know the rules first. Know color theory, and you can say, okay, I'm going to use this to my advantage, and then I'll kind of work in whatever colors I need from there. Okay, so again, go forth and use this information as you will. This is again a pretty simple one to grasp, right? Which is depth, because you're just mirroring something directly. It doesn't take a whole lot to say, oh yeah, okay, my hair color, my characteristics, those are kind of medium. Let's do that, right? Let's go for that, or they're light, or they're dark, or whatever. All right. Hope this helps, and that's pretty much it. Now, part of this too. So if you haven't seen already, too, part of this, the whole process of color analysis actually comes standard in the virtual consultation package too. So that's one part. We also go over the outfits, right? You get a full shopping list. We go over grooming stuff like hairstyle, skincare, etc. So it's a really kind of detailed thing that shows you exactly what works best for you and why, so you can shortcut this whole process of trying to figure out by yourself. And so I work one-on-one with clients around the world to do that, right? And so that's what that looks like. And if you're curious, you can find out more information, I'm sure, somewhere around this video. So, or you can also book a call with me directly. You can apply for that, and we can chat about it together. All right. Anyway, hope this helps. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Take care.